So, Lovie Johnson, welcome to Chatbox with Sam.
Yes.
Johnson, how are you?
Hey, Samantha. Boy, you look as pleasant as your voice on the phone. So
Oh,
it's
thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. So talk to me. Let's get into this, man. I'm excited to talk to you. You know, Tony's a good mutual friend of ours, and
Yes.
so I was all for it when he suggested that I get a chance to speak with you. So I'm excited. Been waiting for this all week. So
Me
let's go.
too.
Man, I can't complain. I woke up this morning, so things are good. Things are good.
So, to the audience that are going to be watching, I've been speaking with Lovie for a few weeks now. He's an amazing gentleman, and I know you would enjoy everything he has to say. He has a very kind wisdom about him, and he has an amazing background in his life and in the industry that I'd like to share with you. Lovey, if you were to encourage
Yes.
the younger generation, what would be your main focus?
Um. So I will say this. I'm first and foremost, I'm a man of faith. And I'm not a religious person. Um. I got a chance to read the Bible from beginning to end for one entire year. A little bit in the New Testament, a little bit in the Old Testament. And one thing that I saw that was reoccurring theme was that God detests religion. So, to me, you got to take religion out there, because when you have religion, then that means you put God into a box. And how could you put God into a box?
Right.
There's no way to do that.
Hmm.
And so, there's just too many beautiful people and this earth and the universe is just, this just didn't come from, happenstance. So, um, but I will say this because I'm a man of faith, is that yes, I will be biased and tell people, yes, you need to have a strong foundation. It needs to be your foundation needs to be built on a rock, and my rock is Jesus Christ. Now, I don't always do things like Jesus would do, because I'm a human being,
Hmm.
and I do make mistakes and stuff. So, but it's not about the mistakes you make. It's about how do you respond to those mistakes and how do you
Hmm.
move forward from those mistakes. Um, I would tell people that you need to make sure that you are you're taking care of yourself mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Um, this business will chew you up and spit you
Get you
out
out.
and leave you to the side, because there are millions of other people who are coming down the pipeline wanting to be the next star.
Right.
So you're nothing special, when it comes to that regard. When you're here in Hollywood, you know, I
Hmm.
tell people this, and this is something that's said in the Bible, that that you live in the world, but you are not of the world. So I may be in Hollywood, but I'm not of Hollywood.
Right.
I operate by the beat of a not my own drum, but a different drum, and that drum is my faith. So and the one thing I've learned is that you know God is not waiting up there with a thunderbolt, ready to strike you every time you do something wrong. That's not the way God works.
Hmm.
And I don't know everything, but I do know a few things. In my 45 years of living, I've learned a few things. And you and I spoke briefly. I've lived all over the world, so I've gotten a chance to understand that there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of gray area.
Right.
There's a lot of gray area, but there's some things though that are black and white. And
Hmm.
so, to answer your question is, got to have a solid foundation. You got to be eating well. I'm not saying be vegan, but I am vegan. I'm vegan because of health things. I was forced to do this,
Hmm.
and now I love it though. And you know, um, it's been life changing for me. I shouldn't even be here. you know. So
Right.
I tell people it's you know, if you're not, you have to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. And
Right.
selfish is not a bad thing. When you think about it, if you don't take care of yourself, how are you going to be worth something to the people who need you most around you, right? So
Yes.
if you're constantly giving, and you're never allowing yourself to recharge, you're never receiving anything from anyone else, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
okay for other people to bless you. There's nothing wrong with that. That's what helps energize people. That's what helps charges you up. So, you know, taking care of yourself, finding other like-minded people. Albert Einstein once said, I will not spend a quantity of my time with people of whom I do not wish to become. So
Good
you've got
quote.
to make sure that you surround yourself with the people who are encouraging you,
Right.
but they're not an echo chamber though. Samantha, they can't be an echo chamber, right? That you're
Right.
perfect and no. I heard this one story on a movie a while back, and it talked about how this Roman official got promoted to a brand new position, and it was a pretty high up position. And he, knowing the traps of having power, he said, you know what? I'm going to hire me a guy. And he hired this guy, and this guy literally followed behind him everywhere he went, reminding him, you're just a man. You're just a man. He would just whisper that, just a man. You're just a
Yeah.
man. It was just reminding him to
S-
keep his feet solid on the
Stay
ground,
grounded.
right?
Yes.
Stay grounded. Abraham Lincoln said, "You want to know you want to know the true test of a man's character? Give him a little power and see how he responds."
Absolutely.
Right?
Usually they don't
So
respond very well.
they don't. I mean, especially but that, you know what, that all comes from foundation though, and to say I came from a phenomenal, wonderful background, that ain't the truth.
Right.
And it looked a certain way on the outside, but internally, under the hood,
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of things that wasn't on point.
Right.
And so, and when you don't have, that solid foundation in the home, it's hard for one person to try to be both, right? They
Right.
praise single parents, but man, it's hard.
It is hard.
Hard.
I'm a single
It's
parent
hard.
and it's hard. Yeah.
Right. You get it. It's hard
Mm-hmm.
because you gotta play good cop, bad cop all in the same person. And you
Yes.
don't want to be that. Right? You don't
Mm-hmm.
want to. You sweet. You the mama. Right? But that's what the daddy's for. That's what the pops is for. Go sit down, boy. Stop all that now. That's what dad's is for.
Yeah.
But you know what?
You have to be
The
both.
thing, life is life, and it ain't perfect. And so you got to learn to adjust, right? Because you're going to fight. You just because I'm a person of faith doesn't mean that it's the absence of trouble in my life. That just means that I feel like I know that I have an ace up my sleeve. I got
Right.
somebody that's protecting me and watching over me. That if I'm doing what I need to do, then there's a way. There will be a way made through the storm.
Yeah.
There's always. I'm standing here today, as a witness to that. So tell people this: take care of yourself. Get an exercise routine. Doesn't need to be anything crazy. Give yourself 15, 20 minutes a day,
Mm-hmm.
every other day, but stretch every day. Drink
Right.
water and lemon in the morning when you first get up. It helps clean your system. It scrubs your blood. It helps kickstart your brain,
Right.
your metabolism. I mean, these are little things that, people, if you do it, I tell actors when they're coming on my project, hey, you want to look good for camera? You need to be eating dark
Oh.
leafy greens. You need to be hydrated, because you're gonna glow on camera. I'm just telling you, just you do what you want to do, right? But I'm
Cabbage
just
is very good.
guaranteeing that say what?
I said cabbage is very good too. They drink in
Oh
Ireland. They drink the
yeah,
cabbage water.
yes, yes. No, you're 100% correct. So yeah, so I mean, basically taking care of that, understanding that you need to set boundaries.
Yes.
Setting boundaries is very important, and because once you do something a certain way, then people gonna say, okay, well, you kind of set the price for yourself, right?
Mm.
I remember Dave Chappelle's dad had shared with him to say, you know what, before you step out into this world, you need to sign a check. You need to write a check out to yourself right then. And if what you experience over there gets bigger than what's on that check, that number, you need to run up out of there real fast. And there's a perspective of learning the right way to get to that next level, right? So and trust me, I had a guy gave me these things. It's like I don't know if you remember the movie Gremlins. Remember
Yes,
that
I
movie
love that
Gremlins?
movie.
So remember the 3 rules, right? You had the 3 rules where
No
you couldn't
eating
feed
after
him after midnight. You couldn't get them wet, and they stay out the sunlight. The sunlight. They had to stay out the sunlight, right? So this guy told me, he said, Lovie, and this is when I was living in Colorado before I came. I had a whole trek journey I was on, and he said, listen, you're gonna make it when you're out there, man. I already know, man. You got a great light in you, man. But I gotta tell you a couple of things. You said, first and foremost, you said, don't ever sleep with somebody for a role. And I'm like, huh? And he said, because once you do that, you're going to be known as that guy. And I'm like, wow, okay. And I'm going to be honest with you. The other 2 rules he told me, I don't even really remember. Because it was that first. I'm dead serious. And I'm pretty sure they were important. but
they were important at the time.
Right. It was, to me, what I was supposed to get out of that, I got out of that, right? And definitely, that casting couch thing is real. So, tell people, listen, don't look around and worry about people. Don't worry about other people celebrating around you. Don't worry about them, right? You just keep your nose to the grindstone and work, right? You got to work, and if you're starting out the business, I tell people, come to Hollywood, right? You come to Hollywood, you do background acting, go do some background acting, and you'll learn a lot. I at first I didn't want to do it because, I'm a stage trained thespian from when I was young, right? Mm-hmm. So Shakespeare, all that. So I'm like, background? Now, who does background here? I do not do background. I'm a supporting or I'm a lead. What? And my wife is like, are you done? I'm like, yes. She said, listen, go do it. She said, because you got a good attitude. You know what I'm saying? You're professional. You always show up on time. Just do it. And before you know it, you're going to start getting little opportunities, right? And sure enough, I always found myself sitting next to the star or sitting right behind on the side next to the star or walking and passing next to the star, and so I paid attention to a lot what was going on. I already knew from when I was really young that I wanted to do films and stuff. I just didn't know in what capacity, but that's a whole nother story. But, I think my biggest thing that to share with people is to let them know is, when you come here to Hollywood, have a game plan. Don't come here, then start to try to get, no, you need to do your research. You need to reach out to people that are already here and see what they're doing, and ask multiple people, just like you and I spoke about the different doctors and how many I had to see, right? You need to do the same thing when you talk to people about coming to Hollywood, right? Because everybody has their own experience, and you're going to take a little bit from what everybody tells you, right? But I'm saying to you that when you come, you should already have implemented into your repertoire is an exercise regimen, is eating right? There's some people who should eat meat. It's in their blood. They need to eat meat.
Yeah, O rhesus positive blood types need to eat meat.
Yes. And so, and then there's some people like myself is I can't. and that's just the way it is. And so, but now I'm better for it. But my point is eating well, have an exercise routine, have a solid moral ground. If you don't want to give Jesus a try, my say is praying for you doesn't mean you're not going to be successful. That's just the truth. But you still got to have some type of solid spiritual background, because you remember every level you go up, there's more challenges. Right. And then it also highlights the weaknesses that you have too. Right?
Absolutely.
So, I've learned a lot, and I'm doing it independent. And I could have went that other way, on multiple occasions, but out of those 3 rules, those 3 rules that guy told me, hey, the one that stood out, I said no multiple times, so, it is what it is though, it's a part of the world, and we should stand up and we should fight against it. But to say that it's going to be eradicated, probably not. Right?
No, exactly.
Probably not. I hope so. We all hope so. That's hopeless optimistic, right? Or stupid optimistic.
Or both. Well,
or both. Stupidly hopeful, hopefully stupid optimistic. Yeah, I get it.
To err is human, and to forgive is divine.
Yes.
Because we are all capable of making errors, and all capable of forgiving or holding grudges.
Yes.
I prefer to forgive. It's a lot more healing for the soul when mistakes are made.
And you know what? Go. That's 100% spot on. And this is the other thing I've learned with that journey is when you wrong somebody, you may go and try to make amends with that person, but don't expect that other person to automatically, immediately forgive you on that other end, because it's about that person going through their own process. And then that's the same when you flip that around. I might not forgive you right away, but I know eventually I will. I'm not going to be holding that all the time, because that's something I don't want to carry on. That's not the way I want to live my life. So, and plus when you don't forgive people, you end up carrying around a burden, you know what I'm saying? Like you're drinking the poison, hoping the other person is going to get affected by that. And you're giving that person power. They're not even in the room. They're not even in the state.
That's an amazing analogy. Yeah.
And these are just things that I've learned, and pay attention in life. You have to, because you'll keep going through the same thing over and over again until you figure it. You ain't going nowhere, right? Because you're ignorant to it. But eventually you're going to be like, okay, something ain't right. Let me step back and let me survey the scene and understand why I'm going through this, Right. So, but, everybody has their own journey. So you can't, we talked about this a while back. It's like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. You can present people with knowledge. You can present people with knowledge and just, hey, listen, I'm not telling you this is the right way. I'm just letting you know that that's probably not a good idea to do that. Right. But the old saying is trust but verify. All right, okay, I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt, but I'm gonna go do my research.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
So yeah, be prepared, people. When you come down here, even if it's Hollywood or anywhere else. But this is my thing. Hollywood is not the end all be all, people. If you can't conquer the little space that you're in, then what makes you think you're gonna get out here to Hollywood? And you need to come with some ammo, right? Don't come out here just, yes, I want to be a star, and then you're not understanding what the game is, because there are people out here who prey upon that gullibleness, right?
Right.
People will see that and go, "Oh, you one of them dingbats? Okay, great. Yeah, you want to be a star? Okay, yeah, you gonna be a star? You want to be in movies? Okay, I got the perfect production company for you, right?" And all of a sudden, so you got to be real careful and
Yes.
make sure that you're understanding that you can't trust everybody. Just
Right.
because they smile in your face, as soon as you turn around, it's like they're stabbing you in the back, you know, or they're plotting against you. They see somebody who's vulnerable and they're gonna just, you don't want that.
And the
You
young are
don't want
very
that.
impressionable too, so they need mature backing, I think.
But you know what? This is what I learned. It ain't just young in age; it's young in mind.
Yeah.
Because you know what? You could be mid 30s, 40s, and you've never learned, or you know what I'm saying, or you've always gotten by on your looks, and
Right.
nobody's ever told you and nobody's ever told you differently, right? So your looks may get you in the door, but substance and talent will keep you there.
Right.
So if you don't have either of those two, if you at least have substance, some people will work with you. They'll be like, listen, you're not that great an actor, but you look great on camera and you got a real good attitude and people like you around here. So listen, I'm gonna point you over to this lady. She gonna help you with your acting skills, and then we're gonna keep you on board and we're gonna give you little parts, little bit parts, and then we see how you do with that, and then boom, boom, boom. People would kill for opportunities like that,
Right.
you know?
Yes.
So you gotta you gotta humble yourself. And let me explain something about being humble, humility. People think that being humble means you lower yourself than under someone else, and that's not true. Being humble means you don't think you're better than someone else. Okay.
Thank you very much, Lovey. That was an amazing example, and thank you for sharing your experience in life with that and giving some good advice to the people out there. And I hope they listen because it's very wise. It's going by experience yourself and you know the industry, so I hope they listen and it gives them a good insight of what they're dealing with before they enter into the industry and in life because it's a circle, them same rules apply in life too, all round as the younger generation are growing, because the wise old saying is, I wish I knew then what I know now, because they're
Right.
young and they're impressionable and they don't they don't have the wisdom or the tools yet to respond as we do in later life, so thank you very much for sharing that. What inspired you into this career?
Um, I had a really crazy childhood, and I experienced some definite things, that some abuse that no child should ever have to go through. Um, and I retreated into a world of TV, and then eventually started, watching movies. And it was, I remember, I think it was, we had just moved to Texas from Germany. My mom had married, not my biological father, and he happened to be in the army, and so we lived all over. We lived in Germany for about 4.5 years, something like 5 years, something like that. And when we got back to Texas, um, I remember I had seen the movie Lethal Weapon with Danny Glover and Mel Gibson,
Yes.
and it was just one of the most amazing things I'd ever seen. Um, but prior to that, when I had lived in Germany, the first movie I had saw was Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee. And man, I remember being we were at a potluck with other families, and I didn't even eat. I just sat there watching that movie, man, was captivated with that. And then when we ended up moving back to Texas, and I had seen Lethal Weapon, um, some of mine had a camera, and I ended up like directing scenes from that. Like when I was 14 years old, 15 years old, not even knowing what I was doing, just
Mm.
just doing it. And so, fast forward many years, just to understand too, and I think with most kids as well, is they retreat into different things when they're going through abuses at a young age, and mine was TV. So I would retreat in that world. I would stay in that world. Well, I would also end up, playing basketball, and um, had a talent to play that, and I was pretty good in high school, and got an opportunity for a scholarship, and um, had signed with Rutgers University coming out of school, and at the last minute that didn't work out. So I ended up going to an NAIA school, smaller school, but still a really great school nonetheless. Shout out to Oklahoma City University, uh, Coach Clark, Coach Binky Triplet. Love you guys.
Oh,
But so I ended up graduating from there, and signing a contract. I got married on my birthday, signed a contract to play pro ball over in England, and I went and went
awesome.
over. I was over there playing. And I was over there playing, and that was definitely a blessing. I was over there playing, and I was talking to my wife at the time, and we were talking like every day, and she ended up. She was telling me she was having issues, and so I ended up having to fly back as like an emergency. And when I got back, he was born early,
Oh,
and he lived for like 7, 8 days, and then he he died, but he died as a result of um, you know
complications.
medical malpractice on the hospital. That's the
I'm
best
so
way to put
sorry.
that. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So, I literally, I never stepped foot on a pro court ever again. I picked up the bottle, became a pretty much it was a full blown undercover alcoholic,
Oh.
functioning alcoholic, somewhat. So,
Mm.
um,
Well, grief,
yeah, but
grief does that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, grief does that. And then I was 23 years old, and I just didn't know how to. I didn't, I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to process that, and
Right.
that's all I knew. And so, um, I ended up, you know, I kind of lost the zeal for basketball, and I just left it alone. And my mother-in-law at the time suggested I go out to do a Coors original photo shoot. And I'm like, I'm an athlete. I don't do photo shoots and stuff. And she was like, just try it out. So I tried it out, and they picked me like within a few minutes. I had left. They called and said, hey, they want you're the first one they chose. They want you. And they had me on the front of the billboard, and those things just opened up opportunities, and then opened into a lead in a stage play. And I had been doing acting since I was really young. I was always in like theater class and those things, and I never thought anything about it. I was just naturally me. But come to
Right.
find out that that's what all brought me, to this point. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? In
Yes.
hindsight, I'm looking back and like, wow, okay, all that was just all like going into my toolbox,
Mm.
and stuff. So, um, it. I ended up getting into the acting and really enjoyed it, and getting back into it per se, and really enjoyed it. And I just kept going with it for a while, and
Yeah.
eventually I got my wife and I ended up getting a divorce, and which is we talked about. It's a really high percentage of couples after they lose a baby together that they don't stay together.
Well,
It's
that's
like
what happened.
85%.
That's what
Yeah,
happened to
yeah.
me. My son was stillborn. He asphyxiated on the cord at 42 weeks gestation, and he died in labour. And my husband left um, a while
I'm
after
so
that.
sorry to hear that.
But yeah,
Yeah, I
so
remember
I
you.
lost a son, John David. Yes, that the same way, and it was a recluse for quite a few years after that. You do move through things with grief. You have the anger, and some days the sun shines, some days there's clouds, but you move through it. And I'm very happy now. I've got amazing grandchildren and amazing daughter and two sons. I feel blessed.
Well, I can see it all in your face.
Yeah,
You're over there glowing right now
I know.
as you speak of them. So that's awesome. Yeah, and as you know, it takes a while to like to move into a place where you know the true healing begins. Because this, you know, it's just like a scar,
Yeah,
doesn't go anywhere because you don't forget anything like that. That's just a reality.
yeah. You just learn to live
But
with it. Yeah,
you learn to live with it, and it stings less, you know, and
yes. Great
that's
analogy.
what we're yeah. So um no, I'm that yeah, we had a lot to talk about. Yeah, and so you know to it's nice when you're able to identify with people, even when a lot of the times it sucks when it's things like this, but at
Yeah,
the same time it's also good because if you know people have been through some adversity, then you know, to me, you can there's a
relate.
thing where you can trust you can relate. There you go, you can relate.
So, Lovey, could you please explain about the three shorts that I watched, which I was really in awe at, because they are really good. Because I'm a sci-fi fanatic.
Well, first of all, thank you for the kudos. I do appreciate you taking the time as well. And I'm always honored when anybody, you know, takes the time to watch my stuff. But you know, whether they like it or not, you can't please everybody. You know, I understand this business. You know,
Mm.
this is the way it is when you're an artist and you put your stuff out there. You know, it's subjective. Art is subjective. So you know.
Right.
So, anyways, so I'll start with let's start with the Protege project, which is a project very near and dear to me, and it's about a vigilante serial killer stalking pedophiles and child traffickers. So, a guy who was abused as a child who becomes a vigilante and goes after people who hurt children. And so there's a graphic novel teaser for this and the other two as well. This film has won like 16 or 17 first place awards around the world now. And it's a really powerful film. You can find it on Vimeo right now for $1.77. You can rent it. Uh, Look up the Protege Project and check it out. It's a 12-minute short film. You know, me being an independent filmmaker, we have to find out the best way to be able to, you know, get our voices heard, to get our vision seen. When we don't have a lot of resources to be able to create these proof of concepts or short films, and so I made three short films and got some, you know, for next to nothing, and they all turned out to be pretty darn good. So, um, so yeah, the Project's a special one. Check that out soon. You can look for it on Vimeo, as I said before. The second one is what I was wearing this T-shirt, The Sins, which is actually an acronym, and the correct acronym is SNIS, which is Seminole Negro Indians Scouts, and it's basically it's a true story. It's a true story about black Seminole cowboy soldiers who were recruited by the U.S. Army to help fight against the Plains Indians to assist in westward expansion, and the Army promised them land and food in exchange for their services. And these guys, man, they went above and beyond. They went 12-0 in 12 major battles. They never lost a man to a major injury. And you know, they're really good, man. They were really good. They were considered the original special forces. So a lot of what they do today, a lot of what they did back then is mirrored today with these guys. So they were before the Delta Force, the Navy SEALs, but not before the Marines. The Marines were created in 1775. So, anyways, wanted to put that fact in there. But
Thank you, Lovey.
yeah. So anyways, so yeah, the sins, and then we actually have the actual tribe is out in Bracketville, Texas, and they are attached to this project. This project has the most awards. It has 21 now, or 22 first place awards around the world. And we just recently just got the budget to do the first episode of the TV show, to do it as a TV pilot. So this is the pilot, it's the initial pilot. And then we'll finish up from there. We're going to finish this up in a couple of weeks.
That's amazing.
And then, yeah, so, God is good. Just literally, was going to sit down with a meeting to get something else funded. And the lady was a childhood fan of it. And to see the way that she lit up when she was speaking about it, I could tell that she went off into a whole nother world.
Aww.
And she was talking about it as a little girl watching it with her dad. And she even asked me again, she was like, "Are you sure you want to do this? I don't want to feel like I'm selfish." And I said, "Ma'am, you got to understand." I said, "Ma'am, you got to understand that the way you lit up when you talked about it, I said, I want you to fund that. I want your money into that." You know what I'm saying? And so she said, "Okay, well, let's do it." So we've definitely had some challenges along the way. And I rented out a whole Western town, which was awesome. And, it was pretty crazy. There's a thing called magic hour.
Right.
Excuse me. And that's either sunrise or sunset. And, basically for a filmmaker and a photographer, the light is just so soft. You don't need anything artificial to hit it. You just, to hit your subject, or, to hit your actor or whatever. It's just, everything is just beautiful. And so we were shooting the last scene of the day, the second to last scene of the day, and it was at the saloon. And I'm looking through the monitor watching this scene going, and all of a sudden a bat flies in, and it just starts flying around in circles at the top of the saloon, just flying around. And I'm thinking to myself, please don't get down there and get within. I didn't know it was a bat at the time. Right. And it was just flying around. I said, please don't get around the actors. I'm just like, and then finally I'm looking, and it comes to me, and I don't know what happened, but the body, like, it just slowed down and it opened itself up. And I said, that's a bat. And it was dive bombing towards me. And then would go right back up. It would go right back up and just circle around. It would just keep circling around. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking around at my assistant, and I'm like, "Are you seeing this?" And she's like, we're all whispering because there's dialogue going on in the scene. So finally, after a couple of more laps, I mean, it's perfect. It doesn't touch anybody. Mm-hmm. It just flies out the saloon doors.
Wow.
I called cut after the scene's over, and I said, "Lori," I just talked to my wife. She said, "I'm on it." We call her Dr. Google. So if you need to know anything, she's on it. Google's already open. Bah, 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 bah. She said, "Okay." She said, "So this is what it means when a bat flies in around something that you're doing special." And she said, "It's an omen. It's a good omen. It's the death of something old and the rebirth of something new."
They say that with a bird too.
Yeah. And so it was, but it depends on what bird though, right. Not just any bird. And so anyways, it was just, to me, I'm a firm believer, I believe in the supernatural and stuff, which is going to lead me into my next deal. But that was just a great way of just, I felt like God was just sprinkling his blessing, and just saying, you guys are doing it. And, it was a really powerful scene, and people were really just, it was great. So anyways, so we've got 2 more days to shoot. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of work because I'm doing a lot of stuff as a director that I shouldn't be doing, but it's okay because I'm understanding now, and I have even more respect for what these people do with wardrobe and set design and all this other stuff. I'm doing this because I have to go to Dr. Google to pull up stuff to look at, okay, what does a camp look like? Okay, let me look back at this, and let me look back at this old Civil War movie, and let me see what this looked like. And yeah, I've been watching Western after Western, just so I can get back so I can understand what we can take and what time period and all this. So it's been a challenge, but it's been fun. And knowing that the next episode, we're going to have more money and I can be able to hire people to be able to do these different deals. Right. But until then, ain't no whining about it. Got to get it done. So anyways, we'll be filming up that soon. And so we'll have a premiere and all that stuff. And I'll keep you in the loop on that. So now moving on, and I saved this for last, just for you.
Thank you. Because I love it.
Yeah, I know. I could tell. So you're 24. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not doesn't really matter, because there are other very wealthy, very powerful people who do believe, and they practice things, and you better understand that and stuff. So I'm not a super duper conspiracy theorist. I feel some things do tie in. I feel like some stuff people are they're trying to get likes and subscribers. So they just kind of put anything out there, which is like ridiculous. But no, these people, there are some people, like I said, that, there's some truth out there. What in the dark is going to come to light, and it's already started coming. When you think about the Jeffrey Epstein and the Ghislaine Maxwell, and right. All that, and how how they sealed the court documents soon after they found her guilty, right? Why would you do that? Oh, but because the flight log is in there, and there's a lot of people on that flight log,
right?
Yeah. A lot of very important people on that flight log.
And they can't understand what I'm saying? Arrest everybody if nobody want to.
Yeah, but because if they do that, it's gonna shake up a lot of stuff. So right. I'm like, okay, that's fine. You do it, like I said, with your 24, even if you'd be a fool not to, but your 24 is a very short little powerful film, about selling your soul. And if your heart is not in the right place, if your mind isn't right, because like I said, even being a man of faith doesn't mean that I wasn't going to go through any hardships. I mean, it's obvious. I said that earlier. I had a crazy childhood, and I've lost a lot of my life. And my real dad died when I was 15, and then my son, he died, and then and then I had a baby brother who died a few years ago, 29 years old, and then a cousin who died. He was 35 years old, died of a stroke, which is saying I'm not supposed to be here, right? But it's not absence of trouble, but I know that I'm at peace. I'm not a big fan of happiness. Now, happiness comes from the Greek word happenstance, which means for the moment. And having a relationship with Christ, being a man of faith, I'm more at peace. You and I have talked about how I have neurological issues that I deal with that I didn't know about until after my baby brother died. And then my wife was like, yep, we're going to the doctor again because we're getting other stuff checked out too. And she was relentless. Oh man, no, Samantha, she was relentless. They tried to give her the runaround. On some tests. And she's like, listen, you may have a bunch of clients, but I only got one husband. So you need to go over there and find his, and I was sitting over there like, oh, wait, I know what I'm there to do. And stuff. So,
she's a tiger.
Man, you can either purr or she can roar, and I'd rather purr.
Bless her.
But when I need her to roar, I'm glad she's on my team. You know what I'm saying?
So, she was here,
but anyways,
so we could. I was hoping she was here, so she could pop in.
She's in her routine. She's swimming and stuff now. She's back to swimming, and you know. So she's like doing her thing, you know. So, but we'll do this again for sure, and she'll get in on it. She
Right.
may pop back in here soon,
But
but
what I loved
anyway,
about
so
24 is
you know,
the way,
yeah,
which I won't give it away. What I liked about the 24 is the way they handed over their soul, and the fact, you know, it was the way which was very unique way to me, and I won't go into it, but yeah, I thought it was. I think it definitely belongs on Amazon or Netflix or
yes, and it's going to be. But
it belongs out there. Yeah, I think it would
well,
take off.
this is.
People love
I
people
want
love
you.
Supernatural.
No, and I agree, and I'm very. I'm just been waiting, right? I'm just going off instinct, and I'm just waiting on. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting to see when it's the right time for me to like really push that. You know, I
Right.
want people to see it. I might do a special screening where people can see it for one night, you
Right.
know, and stuff like that. So, but I want people to see it because I know they'll be excited and it's something different. So you already know there's a full script already done.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would like you to read that script because your 24 is a prequel
Okay.
to the bigger project, and I want you to check that out. Take your time and read it. And it's a page turner. So you're gonna sit up and you're gonna read, and you're gonna look up, and it's gonna be, you know, it's one of those, and you'll like it. It's action packed. It's like it's exciting, but it deals with spiritual warfare and about, you know, about our effort in the real world, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, our effort in the real world means it means so much you would not even believe in the spiritual world, because
Right.
we have angels. There's
Right.
angels and demons. There's angels and demons in this world, and and we're all fighting against them whether we want to or not, right?
Right.
So my favorite scripture in that was Ephesians 6:12. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I've learned to be a lot more empathetic and patient, because when somebody blows up, it's not always about me,
Right.
right? And even if that person is white and I happen to be black, because I am, so
are you sure?
it's like, yes. And so it's like,
let me put my glasses on. I need to take a look.
I know, right? And I'm like, let me.
I'm only joking.
So no, so if they do that, then I can, you know, I know that I still just like, okay, I'm not necessarily taking it personal because I'm black and this person's white and they're blowing up on me. I don't know what happened this morning with that person, right? They could have their wife could have divorced them, their husband could have divorced them, they could have got a call that somebody just died in the family. You know, they could have got their social security number stolen and they get fraud. I mean, who knows?
Yeah,
right? Now it doesn't
full of complications.
Yes, it is. Life is full of complications, and
it's also
if I want people to give me leeway on certain things, you know, yes, and I believe that. But how would you? But okay, but you got to be open to miracles, though.
Yeah.
Right. You know, because I've known people that they see a miracle, and they'll look at it as like, oh well, you know, that they try to explain it away like science. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, well, this happened and it was at this time of the day, and you know that the wind chill was exactly, you know, like, come on, man. Yeah. You know, so miracles. I'm a huge fan of that. I'm a huge fan of miracles. Miracles are important for the world. We have these things going on right now, but people are so angry, Samantha.
Right.
People are so mad here, and they have every right to be. They have every right to be, you know. But to me, it's how do you handle that anger, right?
You gotta channel it a different way. You got it's like a sauce. It's like a saucepan water and heating up, and it bubbles and bubbles and bubbles, and then it boils over or dries up. You know, it's if you just take it away from the heat, step back and reflect on what's happened. And a lot of us are guilty for blowing up. We've all done it. We're all human. You know, we've all lost our patience or temper or something at some point in life. No one's an angel, you know. And as I've got older, as many people get older, I find that when you're in a situation which is very intense, sometimes it's best to say nothing, step back, and just reflect on what's happened, and then give yourself a 3-day or a 3-minute or a 3-hour. 3 is a very powerful number, I think, and I think if you give yourself some time to sit back and reflect on what's happened before you respond. Quick response isn't always the right thing to do. It's a very common thing to do, but you find when you think something out, when you respond, life is 90% of it's oh God, what is it again? Life is 10% of what happens to us and 90% how we react. So
yeah,
if we don't give a reaction, and we wait, that makes a big difference to the outcome of turning it into a hurricane or just calming it down. So I think very much.
I agree with you 100% on everything you said about taking a deep breath.
Mm-hmm.
You know, taking a deep breath and learning just to say, 1001, and just like, okay, well, I've learned to do that a lot more, and that in turn has helped me to, that and we talked about this too. My favorite radio station, KYMS, keep your mouth shut, right? Sometimes I'm telling you, sometimes I have that station preset, right? It's like, hey,
right. Take the
click, click. Like, it's like, listen, to me, sometimes not saying anything is saying a whole lot.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And learning that you don't have to go down to that level and let that person, because a lot of times when you're quiet like that and you don't respond the way that person responded to you, then they're able to, it knocks them back. You know what I'm saying? That puts them on pause. Like, okay, wait a minute, so, it's, you take one moment, I don't say one day at a time, you take one moment at a time, because there's so many moments in the day. You take one moment at a time and learn to take a deep breath, right? Take a deep breath, have empathy with people, and be just, try to be more forgiving, take care of yourself, because, this is understandable when people are like, bipolar, which I speak from experience because I deal with that. So you're bipolar or you're the depressant. You deal with depression, right?
Right.
There's a lot of different mental illnesses across the board that literally changes people's behavior. You and I have spoken about this, right? Mm-hmm. And it's tough because if people lash out and in public and they do things, it's like, were you on your meds? Mm-hmm. Well, no, I stopped taking my meds. Well, then you're responsible then.
The thing is, the patients will start to, or people, because I was just speaking to a psychologist the other day, and that person, Lovie, that has bipolar, Lovie's Lovie. He has a symptom of bipolar. Like they'll have a symptom of diabetes. You treat the symptom, not the person. It's like people with epilepsy. It's hard to see a seizure in the brain. It's hard to see it unless they're having a grand mal seizure. It's like looking at craters on the moon, a neurologist told me. Same with mental health. It's when you've got a broken arm, you can see it, you can treat it. If they've got diabetes, they can tell from the blood that they've got diabetes. With a mental health disorder, you can't see it. They have to wait. It's very, very hard to diagnose a mental health order. Bipolar, schizophrenia, manic depressive, borderline personality, that they all mimic one another a little bit.
Yeah.
And then people start to feel better and stop taking the meds because they're feeling better. But there is an injectable out now that's 1 to 3 months, 3 to 6 months, 6 months. There's an injectable in Vena that's just come out. And so people don't have to forget to take the meds, and it's in the system and it slowly goes out. But it's not taking tablets every day, which is a lot easier for the stomach.
I like that because I hate having I got all my stuff set up so it's within eyesight, right? And then, I'm like, okay, I got to go take this, and I got to take this at lunch. Okay, I got to take this in the morning. At this time, I got to take this at night, 3 of these and 2 of those and 1 of these and 1 of those. It gets on my nerves,
And the thing is, there isn't enough resources. The government complain. The government, which are in right, they're trying to bring up licenses for people with guns, and it's like the gun doesn't kill people. The people kill people.
Well, it's not.
I know it's the other way around, isn't it?
No, it's guns don't kill people. Stupid people with guns kill people.
But it's people with mental illnesses. A normal person isn't going to go and shoot up a school. So yes, you do need to have stricter regulations on guns, and I do believe that. That's not taking your guns away. That's stricter. The federal government know every single Code 1 med that's written, every prescription. So yeah, they should know every person that's carrying a gun too. But they also need to open up some more mental health clinics. So it's easily, and have a cap with the insurances saying we're not going to pay for it. Then that patient walks away without their medications because they've probably got no money to pay for the prescriptions. I worked in pharmacy for 10 years fighting insurance companies to try and get someone's medication filled. And, and we worked with people in psych units. So,
right.
And then the insurance will say, we're not paying for that. It's within 30 days of them having the other prescription when they've got into the psych unit, or where they're just leaving the psych unit. And that's unfair, because then that person's left. And then going back into another 5150 a week later because they've got no medication, because the insurance will refuse to pay for it. There needs to be stipulations and law passes that insurances can't do that.
I've been looking in ways to holistically attack, treat. I like to see. I'm coming from an athlete standpoint, so I'm attacking this thing because it's attacking me. Right? We wouldn't be having this conversation, and you got to go to battle with it. I saw this little TikTok video, and this little kid was the cutest in the world, man. Little kid, and he had his T-shirt on, said, "Finished my last round of chemo," and he had a cape. He had a cape on, and the kid was probably like 4 or 5, and he was just running, and doing his little bell, and it was just like, man, it's like the world, like we can fight, man. We can fight. There's ways for us to be able to change change how we go about things, right? Mm-hmm. We can do this. Right. There has to, we don't have to stay the same. We evolve, and what you put in your body is important. The way food is made, and how it's distributed, we gotta change that. Is there a real food shortage in the world right now? I don't know. Depending on which news channel you turn on, right?
Yes, media is very biased.
Oh man,
I think we have to do our own researches in the world. Really, look at the numbers. Yeah. Same with the science. How do you feel about what has transpired since COVID-19?
Just the way there you go with a broad question.
Okay, so what do you feel you can talk about it on a scientific or a political stance?
Um, okay. So I'm just gonna be honest.
Okay.
I'm a bit concerned about the vaccine and how fast these things have come out, and knowing how long it takes vaccines to actually be created and then go through the trials.
Right.
And no, now all of a sudden, because this pandemic comes up, now all of a sudden now, you know, but the science becomes, it's now made that huge leap,
Mm.
and that it's just it concerns me. It concerns me. Because of my health stuff and all that, I'm not vaccinated. Um, my wife is, and she says you're not getting vaccinated till we know everything and stuff. So, my situation is unique. I
Yeah.
might end up having to get a medical, exemption.
Yeah.
If they don't do away with those, but so it's am I afraid? No, it's not that I'm not afraid. It's just I know that I'm dealing with some health stuff that we have identified, and I'm also dealing with health stuff that we have not identified and stuff. So, you know, um,
So you're
I'm
being
not.
cautious. You're being cautious
I'm
for,
being
yeah.
very
It's
cautious.
you're doing it for medical. It's not through. It's through denial. It's through being cautious of your own body, which is fair enough. It's your choice, and I don't blame
I
you.
would hope. Well, it's my choice as of now, right?
Right.
So, you know, um, I understand why a lot of people are hesitant, how long it really does take vaccines to be created and, to have them do trial runs, people passing out and dying.
Mm.
So, and they've had some, it's a rare percentage. And it's funny when people say, oh, it's a rare percentage. That's what it's easy to say because you wasn't part of that rare percentage. You wasn't part of that small percentage. You wasn't connected with a person who was in that family who was connected to the person that was a part of that small percentage you
Mm-hmm.
know
Right.
so I fully believe it's people's choice. I'm not I don't want to have discussions about it, with most fact with people in some casual setting. Are you vaccinated? I'm like, okay, well, are you heterosexual? That's like you know what I'm saying? Like that's just a weird question, right? Just out of the blue. And it was like it's becoming that
Yes,
where
I know what you mean.
people are like literally
Well,
like starting to
well, they do.
ostracize.
Mm.
They're ostracizing people who aren't vaccinated. You
Yes.
know what I'm saying? Or like, well, we don't, somebody invited us to a Christmas little deal, and it was just going to be like four of us, and it was a couples thing, and then at the last minute, they're like, well, it's with the new variant, but you knew this
The variants are going to come out
before.
over and over again.
It's gonna kick. And then what you're learning is that these variants aren't even as strong as the ones before them.
No, they're not.
You
They're
know,
getting weaker.
they're
Yeah.
not. They're not. So it's like, to me, go and exercise. I'm sitting there when I woke up today. I was supposed to get up early. One guy wanted to go boxing, and like I said, no, I'm Saturday. I'm sleeping in. Leave me alone.
Mm.
So I slept in a little bit, which I ever rarely do because I don't really sleep at night. And I went to the gym. I said, nope, I got my podcast with Samantha. Got to go get my workout in. So I went and got my workout in, sucked it up, went and got it done. I feel better because I walked in the house knowing I had it done.
Right.
People got to take care of themselves is my whole point of
Right.
bringing that up. People got to take care of themselves. You're not taking care of yourself, that stuff will get you. If you ain't on top of you ain't got to be
Health.
pristine.
Absolutely.
You got to be on top of it. I don't understand. I don't get it. Why people are so stubborn.
I know.
So,
Well, thank you for answering that, Lovie.
yes, ma'am.
So, there's more. If you, out of all the charities in the world there are, which one would you choose to advocate for? And why?
The youth and mental illness. So because I've dealt with both, and I still deal with, obviously with the mental illness stuff. Um, I would, we need to concentrate on that more. We need to educate people more. Um, you know, advocate for the children, being abused and things like that. I mean, it's so hard. You can't go and kick in every door. Are you treating the kids right? You can't do that. And then most kids don't go tell when they're abused, and some do.
Right.
So it's we need to do better with that. And one of the ways that I do it is I do it through, everybody has a hand in the battle. Everybody has their fight in the battle. Which is that? Think about the Army, why it has all these components. Mainly, they highlight, the troops, but what about the medics, right? What about the guys who fly the helicopters, who come in and get and rescue the wounded?
It takes a team.
It takes a team. And so, it's if we learn to buy into the team concept a lot better, and humble ourselves, saying, okay, no, I'm not better than this person, even though they're not in my field, doesn't mean that I can't at least listen to them and see what they have to say. Right?
Right.
And then you at least take it from there. Because I used to be like that. Well, how you going to, if you're on the outside looking in, how you going to tell me? Well, they're giving you a different viewpoint. Right. And sometimes you need that. You need a fresh pair of eyes. Right. So, it's takes a team. Samantha, you know that. It takes a team. Takes a team.
I do. So, well, thank you for answering that. So let's hope some more charities come out there for children of abuse and sex trafficking, and the support for the families and the victims and the families that are suffering abuse, and resources to get them out of that situation and into a safe place.
Yeah.
Yes. So thank you for answering that. I agree with you 100%. So, Lovie, is there anything that no one has asked you in an interview that you would have liked them to ask you?
No.
Perfect.
I mean, what do you want me to say? I'm like, it's like,
I want you to say your mind.
To be honest, that nobody, I don't want people, because this is the thing. Most of the time when I do these, we have a conversation before and we kind of talk over the bullet points, and then that's it, right? Because you have an agenda. You contacted me to be on your show, not the other way around.
Absolutely.
Right? So my figuring is like, okay, I'm on yours, and I'm coming in there with an open mind. You're running the show. So if the show goes through and you didn't ask all your questions, well, that's your fault. You know what I'm saying? So, you had me for an hour.
Oh dear. I'm putting this in the gag reel. Oh, thank you so much, Lovie. So
thank you for having me.
So to the viewers that are watching this, have you got any last words that you'd like to say to them?
Keep moving, keep pressing forward. It's they say things will never be the same, and this is the calm before the storm, and and that may be the case. It may not be the case. Who knows? But you know, get your foundation on point. You know, of course, I'm gonna be. I'm biased. I'm being a person of faith, and give Jesus a try. This is 2022. It's a chance to keep moving forward. I'm not a big person with New Year's resolutions because I feel you should be having a resolution every day. You should be trying to make a holiday every day. It should be Mother's Day every day, Father's Day every day. It should be Christmas every day. It should be your birthday every day. And I'm saying that in the sense of, we need to wait until these specific moments in our lives in order to be able to reach out and connect with certain people. Just reach out to people, say, hey, I'm just checking in. I don't want nothing. I don't want nothing. Just want to see how you're doing. So it's don't hesitate to talk to people, as if anything, this pandemic has taught us that life is so precious and that you need to really not take for granted those in your life, the opportunities that you get, because a lot of those opportunities will never ever come back around. You need to make the most out of them every time you get it. You need to try to knock it out the park, like Babe Ruth. You need to try to hit the game-winning shot, like Michael Jordan. You need to hit that game-winning the volley, like Serena Williams. So it's one of those things where the time is now for the quote unquote little guy to step forward. So
And let's
it's the
not forget
time.
Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, Kobe Bryant. I mean, he surprised me with what he was doing out off of the court, and I had a lot of respect for that. I didn't necessarily agree with everything he said or everything he did, but that doesn't mean that I couldn't respect the talent that the man had and the business savvy that he had. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful to meet people like you, Samantha,
Thank you.
and how we even had us a little obstacle to get over right there at the beginning. Which to me shows a lot about us that we were willing to do that. And then I'm glad I did.
You can find him on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Lovie Ray Johnson Jr. or Undercase.
Boom, got it. Yes, yes.
So thank you very much, Lovie, for joining me on Chatbox with Sam. It's been an honour and a pleasure to talk with you.
Awesome, and thank you very much for having me, Samantha.
Thank you, and have a good day.
All right, same to you. Bye.
Okay, bye.